Good evening, Ride Property community. Right, we're just gonna wait until we get some people online, just to make sure that we are indeed live.
I can see someone.
I can see somebody has jumped on. So quick bit of housekeeping before we go into the interview. And I say it every single time, but if you are joining us live, then if you'd like your name and your beautiful picture to be able to be shown on screen, you just need to give StreamYard permission to allow them to show your picture. So that just while we're streaming live, if you click the link that's in the narrative, you'll be able to have that shown, and then we can see who's engaging. So the one, the only Lenka has agreed to come on our show, and we are so proud to have Lenka on tonight. We're so humbled and honoured that we are actually breaking Lenka's interview cherry, believe it or not. So we need to do you justice, Lenka. But Lenka was always going to be somebody that we wanted to bring on very early into this setup. She's incredible. She's extremely inspiring. Her passion, her drive, her authenticity are, second to none. And we've spent quite a bit of time with Lenka over the last couple of months, but we've known you for probably about maybe since the beginning of the year, end of last year. We actually had quite a nice little meet and greet with a couple of gin and tonics a couple of weekends ago when we lost some funkies, and we actually got to know Lenka really well over that evening and just dived into your story. And your story is incredible, and we want you to be able to share that with our kind of viewers this evening. Thank you, Lenka, for joining us tonight.
So shall I kick off then?
Yeah, so Steph's going to kick it off.
Just to start, Lenka, if you can, tell us your full name, tell us where you come from, and in one line, can you tell us what you do in property?
So hi guys, thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm so honored that you asked me to come. You two are one of my favorite people in the whole world and the whole property world. And you know how much I admire you and how much I love you girls. So thank you so much for having me. So my full name is Lenka, and I pronounce it first in Slovakian, yeah? So it's Jenčová-Bednariková.
Jenčová. I'm not even going to.
I can see it on the screen actually.
Bednariková. Yeah, got it.
So being called a Jenčová-Bednariková in English, known as Lenks. And what was your other question? Was that what do I do in the property?
No, can you in one line quickly tell us what you do in property? We'll go into it deeper dive later on.
Right. So very quickly. So currently, me and my partner, we live in Torbay in Devon, beautiful Devon, and we are sourcing property for investors and for ourselves from let's say HMOs, service accommodation, to commercial conversions. We also sourcing HMOs for ourselves as well for investors. And now after COVID, I mean, we are still in COVID, but now when it's things slowly easing up, we're also looking to go back to essays, and we'll go to it later because I have lots of experience in essays, but now we're slowly getting back to it on our own.
Boom.
Fantastic.
Cool.
Okay. Now we're going to dive in. So firstly, Lenks, we wanted to dive a little bit deeper into Lenks before property, and just kind of find out a little bit about your journey, I guess, kind of what's contributed to the person that you are today. So a little bit about kind of where we know you're from Slovakia, but a little bit about kind of your upbringing, your schooling, and just your kind of general upbringing before you moved over to the UK.
Wow. Okay. So that's
a big question. Big question.
Big question. So who is Lenks? How Lenks grew up. So as you said, I'm from Slovakia. So I'm originally from a country which doesn't exist anymore, and this is like a really cool fact actually. So now we know it's from Slovakia. So I was born in Czechoslovakia. The country doesn't exist anymore. The country was under the communism, under the Russia. So when I was growing up, even though the communism stopped, it was really sort of like a third world country, sort of. So I was in the middle of a little village in the middle of nowhere. Grew up with a livestock, massive garden, everything we ate, we had to grow ourselves. So potatoes, carrots, peas, strawberries, you name it, we have it on our garden, and we have it only from our garden.
So this is why you're a plant whisperer then. Now I know where the skills have come from. Lenka's got this incredible garden at her house with just everything that's growing.
You can sort of see a little bit in the background there, but that's just a taster of her house. It's very, very green.
1% of my
you bring back to life poorly plants.
I do. My friends call me a plant doctor. So, yeah, I do. As you said, so yeah, it's probably come from my parents, and I grew up. Basically everything I ate, I had to either grow it myself or even kill it. Like that was my childhood. Like I would never do it again. Trust me, I would never do it again. But if I wanted to eat chicken, I'm not gonna name all those things I had to do, but you can imagine what you have to do to actually eat it.
Wow. So did you have to kill the chickens on the farm?
We had what? Sorry.
Do you have to kill the chickens?
Yes, and the rabbits.
Really? And then wringing the necks?
Yes.
Wow, hardcore.
Yeah, so my childhood is full of, it's just a bit different to most of the friends I have.
Incredible.
Yeah, even like ketchup. This is like very funny one. Like me and my boyfriend, we always make these jokes that when I wanted the ketchup when I was little, I had to grow tomatoes, peel tomatoes, make my mom, blah, blah. My boyfriend always says that when he wanted the ketchup, he said, "Mom, we ran out of ketchup." It's very different upbringing. So yeah. When you said about the schooling and all that, so our school system was really good. I have to say, I haven't learned that much. It's my own fault. I was just one of those wild children. I just wanted to be out and I wanted to explore and all that. I couldn't sit. It was very strict, very, very strict the way how we had to sit in the classrooms and all that. You can imagine it wasn't for me. But the very interesting one is that when I was 6 years old, I had to walk to school on my own, which was 10 minutes walk. And I had to lock up the house as well, which I had a responsibility for the whole house as a 6 years old. And so I think I was building that sort of responsibility in me since I was 6 years old, locking the house. I forgot to lock it twice in all my childhood, and I remember it until now because the consequences were not good.
That's crazy.
So in terms of schooling, so did you kind of just go to sixth form and then stop, or did you do anything at college, or were you just straight out into the big bad world of learning what the real world is all about?
So that is very so I did something unusual as well for where I'm from, especially. So we have a very different schooling system like here in England. So we go to first school when so you start when you're 6, you finish when you're 15, and when you're from 16 you go to 15. From 15 you go to higher education, and you can go either 3 years, and then normally that's not a law, but when you just it's not a fact, but normally those people are end up with those like lower jobs in those eyes, people looking from above. Then you can go to a school which is 3+2, and then you get a slightly better education. And then after that, you can also, or you can go for like 4 years and then go to like universities and things like that.
Yeah.
So there's different ways to England. So what I've done is that when I finished, when I was 15, when I finished my the first school basically, and I had to choose my profession. I chose a profession which meant to be for 4 years, and it was about it was about travel and business sort of thing, but it wasn't teaching me what I wanted to. How as a child you don't know, no. So basically I went for that, and it was meant to be for 4 years. As I was studying it, after second year, I realized that hold on a second, I'm gonna stay here for another 2 years. I know already that I want to go out. I know already that I'm gonna travel the world. I need to learn English. I was forced to learn German. That's another thing. I was forced to learn German when I was little.
Brilliant.
I wanted to learn English. So I was like, I need to go to England or America. I need to learn English, and I need to travel the world, and I have bigger things. So after second year, I spoke to my friend who was studying similar thing, but in the school for free and 2 extra years. That makes sense. First free and then 2 extra if you want a better education. But you can finish for free. And I realized that, what? I'll do that. Even though I get a lower education, I'm going to follow my dreams. I don't need this education. That's not for me. So I transferred my school within the summer. it was really painful in a way because obviously I had good friends and all that, but we stayed friends until now. I still have
How old were you at this point?
16 when I was making the decision.
Okay.
Yeah, so after second year, so 15, 16 I started. 16 I finished that. I made a decision. Started the year as that third year in a new school as a 16-year-old. Finished when I was 17, and I made a decision. I'm going away. 17 and a half, and that's a different story, isn't it? So 17 and a half, I went to England, and I was like,
Lenka, when you chose business and travel, I can see why, with your kind of circumstances in your life at that point, why travel was something that you kind of were going for. But what was the business? So I guess my point is, did you have somebody around you in your family, on your close network that kind of gave you that influence, or did that just come from, where did that come from?
So it's a really actually good question. I never really thought of it as such. If I think about it, no, none of my relatives, nobody is a business person in my family as such. But what my parents told me when I was little, I don't remember that. When I was 2 years old, 3 years old, I used to draw pictures and selling them to my mother, my father, my brother, my sister. I used to walk around the house and 10p for this, because they used to tell me like, oh, this is beautiful, and I was like, really, 50p,
Yes.
So I think I had it always in me, but there was like nobody really around me are business people. So I just always wanted to travel, and I just always was passionate about business, but never was influenced by them.
And so you've had loads, and we know that you've had loads of travel experience, and you did a lot of volunteer work before property. So you at 17 you decided, right, I'm going, and then how did you, where did you decide to go? You didn't come to the UK first, did you?
Sorry?
You didn't come to the UK first, did you? Is that right?
No, I did.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was like, 17 and a half. So I purchased a bus ticket. It took me 23, 24 hours, something like that. It took me to come to England on a bus, with a bus. And I came on my own with £10 in my pocket.
It's 17 and a half?
17 and a half. No English. I had a very little English. I literally could like a car, a window, maybe literally nothing.
Catch up.
And I found, because I just always knew that I just need to learn English, and I knew that whatever dreams I will have, I will follow it. I will get there. So I knew the base for me to start with, I need to learn English. So a very common thing, without the skills, without speaking English, I was looking for a job as an au pair, but in a family that they don't mind that she doesn't speak English.
Yeah.
My parents or I couldn't afford to pay for agencies. So I found a family on a free website online, which there were a high possibility that they don't exist. And, if you think about it, it was free thing. So I found a single mother with a little boy. I believe Max was 6 when I joined, and when I joined the family. And so I came to England on the bus with £10 in my pocket, very little English. Almost to zero, literally. And and I was started as an au pair. So when after being a year as an au pair, then I took a job in a bar, like a local bar, and then I stayed there not even a year, maybe 6 months, I think. And then I went to London and straight to a fine dining place. And I always knew, this is another little thing from my childhood, I never forget. When I was very little, I saw, when you have that memories from flashbacks from childhood. I was watching a Tom Cruise movie called Cocktail, and he was making
brilliant film. We watched that at Christmas.
And it's a beautiful place, stunning, and he's making those cocktails. And me as a child, I'm like, one day I want to be making cocktails like that. So I went to this fine dining place, and they hired me as a cocktail waitress. But the whole time I was doing cocktail waitressing, I was always asking them to teach me how to make them and all that. Then I started an academy, hospitality academy for fine dinings. So I studied academy with a company called Gauchos, and I've done. So I studied mixology. So I became a mixologist as well. And when I was 22, I was already a manager in a fine dining place in London.
Wow.
So I was really pushing myself, and I was doing lots of master classes for
Yeah.
businessmen and bankers, and I was really good at matching whiskies with cigars. Like I knew I could.
That's cool.
And
So you came with no English, barely, no money, and then within 4 years you were doing that.
You were mixing whiskies and cigars. I mean, that must have took a massive amount of courage just to come, essentially with the clothes on your back on a 24-hour bus to a new country where you didn't speak the language. At the time, did you see it as a risk, or did you just think, okay, I'm going to go and just...
Yeah.
Really important, in the business that we're in, people worry about risk all the time, about taking action, and clearly at 17 and a half, you just took massive action.
Yeah. I think it is what you believe, when you the limits you put in your mind. So when you just want something, you just go for it, no matter what little jobs you need to start with, if that makes sense. Even like now we do it, we want to be doing a beautiful big properties, building new builds, whatever, one day, but we have to start somewhere here, rent to rent and all that. It's a similar thing, isn't it? So I think it was that I always I just knew that I want something different, something bigger. I don't want to be in that village little life there. I always wanted to see the world and
it's funny. I can't see who that is because they haven't given StreamYard permission to show their picture. But I think that's Andy. Do you reckon that's Andy Thomas? Balls of Steel. Can you see that?
That's Andy.
I reckon that's Andy. So massively ballsy, and like Steph said, kind of just kind of jumping straight in, both feet, and like learning as you go. And not being stopped by fear, and just
making your own destiny.
That's really, really inspiring, and actually, very apt for, I guess, the new journeys that we all find ourselves on in property. And I think there's a lot of people that get stuck in that rut, don't they, of just like finding fear at every single turn and never actually doing anything because they're so fearful of it going wrong. So I definitely think you have to have that, bit of mindset in you to be able to just do it anyway, in spite of the fear, and have that courage to, to make the mistakes and to learn and grow from them. So God, you had that in bucket loads, even in your early 20s, which God, I certainly wasn't doing anything like that in my early 20s. I was, that's a different story for a different day.
So what came after the whiskies and cigars then?
So let's face it, I'm Slovakian, so we like alcohol.
No,
we know that now, definitely.
I don't know, as I was studying the mixology and all that, and because I was working in a fine dining place, and we had to basically know pretty much every single spirit we were selling. So before I was becoming manager, or after I was manager, we had to make sure that every staff taste them, because we had to recommend them to customers. We had to know what everything tastes like and all that.
Wow.
And I kind of fall in love with the flavor, and just the fact, I picked up my favorite whiskies and on the rocks and with a nice cigar, and I matched what I like. Yes. So, never big fan of wine. I had to be drinking wine as well, because I was like a mini wine mixologist as well. Sommelier, they call it sommelier. But not big fan of wines as such. But whiskies were my thing.
We'll have to talk whiskey at some point. Lisa's not a massive fan, are you?
No, I don't really like anything that tastes of alcohol.
You just like the kind of things that taste of water.
It's like the rewards of it.
Just like the effects of it more than anything.
Sugar.
So you mixologist, smashing life, and then what next?
So when I was still in London, I was like 21, 22, someone recommended me to read Rich Dad Poor Dad. And they just came to me and said, Lenka, I had no idea about the properties. So I forgot to say one thing. I was a daddy's daughter. My daddy is a builder, and I had to build everything with him. He's one of those people who he doesn't sit still. So at home, he constantly does things in the garden, in the house, and I had to...
We know where you get it from now, then.
Yeah.
Yay. And so I had to basically do everything with him, and I learned lots of skills. So I had these building skills in me, and as a building passion, but hated it as a child. So never as a business thing. So now somebody gave me the book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, and say, Lenka, you need to read this. Don't know why, you have to read this. And I was like, okay. So I read this book and I don't read. And until now, I don't read much. I read few, but I listen to audiobooks, like two easily, like big fan, but I don't read that much. And so I read that book and hooked me so much. But that one of those points that then I didn't do anything with it as such. However, I knew that something in it,
It was there.
Planted the seed.
It was there.
Yeah.
That was really compulsory, I think, in all schools.
Yeah, it shows you what's possible, no? What's things you don't learn from normally by most of the people, no, when they're growing up. So yeah, and then so that was sort of like started with property. But then I decided that I really want to do some travels as well, that I don't want to just lose my 20s and not to do the things I wanted to, which part of them were traveling. So I booked a ticket to Thailand. That was with like my ex-boyfriend before.
We won't talk about that, Ben. Ben's watching.
So we booked a ticket, and that was backpacking in Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, and Vietnam, like massive thing. So, and that was where I learned a lot about myself, like more, and who I am and who I want to be. So I left that craziness of being in London, that hecticness, that just constantly go and don't stop and go in a different way, because in London you could pack with people and all that. It's different. It's very different. And literally suddenly everything was just so chill, and all that. But I met people like me, and I wasn't a teenager who was so lost. I was already a bit like young adult who kind of knew who I want to be. So yeah, basically traveling in Asia changed my life completely. That was 3.5 months of backpacking, and yeah, it was unbelievable. So from there, went to Newquay, and what a difference from London to Newquay.
Yeah, made it to the southwest.
Southwest is best. We all know it.
Yeah, ended up in the Newquay, and then that's when I met my boyfriend Ben. I don't know why I'm pointing like that. He's in.
Hi Ben.
Ben the dog whisperer. We need to get Cersei back round again.
Exactly. So that's when I met Ben, and Ben is a builder now. But he was a builder. Now he's a project manager and a businessman. But yeah, so when we met, he was a builder, and we just had that sort of click. No. One of the clicks were that let me say this one. So one of the click was that okay, the similar personalities and all that, but the fact that he was always like into buildings, and I read that book and knew that one day, and I was like, ooh, property is something. When you just have that random little chat, completely random. And then we just clicked as a friends and all that. We were friends for a very long time before we got together. And then one day, still as a friends, he came to my room, and there was a book in Slovakian, Rich Dad Poor Dad, in Slovakian, but he recognized the cover, and he looked at it and he was like, "Is that Rich Dad Poor Dad?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "That's the only book I ever read." And I was like, "That's the only book I ever read."
It was meant to be.
And it was a different language as well. But yeah, so that's my Newquay story. And then from there, me and Ben went to Africa. That just brings us to where you were talking about the volunteering. So we've done a volunteering job in Africa, building. What's the word I'm looking for? Renovating schools, government schools for children.
Oh wow!
And obviously helping children, teaching them in a free time, about different things. Either if it's a language or dancing, or just spend time with them, play with them, watch a movie with them, whatever. So that was 3 months, and then we came back later, another 3 months. But that was in a rural area, completely 8 hours after latest tarmac road, completely away from nowhere. Like we would wake up in the morning, and there's zebras or cows right next to the window.
Amazing. People pay money to do that sort of thing on the honeymoons and all sorts, don't they? What drove you to do that volunteer work? Where did that come from? Was that just something you decided to do together to get away for a bit?
I always wanted to be helping people, and that is one of the reasons why I want to get wealthy and why I'm building why I'm working on what I'm working on.
Yeah,
is hugely to be able to help, and it is from animals, people, or our nature, our world. That's my main goals, and I just always knew it. And as a child, I had 3 puppies, and 2 of them were rescued And my parents always told me that I always wanted adopted child. I always wanted a rescue dog and things like that. So for me, it's just something, I just always wanted to help. Just give.
And it is so many people like say that, and so many people throw that comment out there. But you truly are one of the very, very few people that when you say that, I know it's 1,000,000% genuine. And it totally is. Like, you are, I'm sorry, this is probably a bit like a bit soppy. You genuinely are one of the most beautiful people, like inside and out, that I've ever met. And that is so genuine. But when you say that, it really is genuine. And you're such an authentic person that I think everyone that comes into contact with you just smiles a little bit brighter. So sorry to just jump in there. That was kind of
that
a little bit.
That is so sweet of you, honestly.
No,
go on.
No, I think it's just like, for me, it's like one of the main reasons why I'm building my wealth and why I want to be, or some people call it rich. Yeah, let's even use that word. Why not? Is because more I will have, more I can give, and that's how I'm looking at it. Like, so at the moment, how I can help is that, okay, make a little changes around the house with plastic, and all that, but you can only do certain things. Or when I go on the beach, most of the time I will pick up rubbish, and now even Ben does it, like we just go and we just have a pool bag full of stuff, or just have a little bag always picking up stuff.
Marples poo. And Marples poo.
Yeah, thanks, Marple.
Lots of in-jokes though.
But it's, a lot of people use the term wealthy, or they think of the terms wealthy and rich as dirty words, like taboo words that we shouldn't use. There's a bit of stigma around them. Rich people are clearly bad people. They're not ethical. They don't have morals. But like you point out there, if you just got the right mindset and you're a good person, then richness will just magnify that goodness. And the way you put that there, it's a perfect way of kind of articulating that you just want to do good stuff, and that there's nothing wrong with wanting to have money for those reasons, which I think is fantastic.
Isn't that saying as well that it's the money are not the evil, it's the humans are the evil, or something like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's some sort of saying, isn't it? Like,
anyone knows the saying, drop it in the comments. We can't think of it right now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So you did your volunteer work. You did 2 lots of volunteer work. Then you came back and did a bit more. What happened after that then?
So after that, so we've been obviously involved in property, and we started thinking more and more about our own, like how we can get into property in England, but we had no idea about things like HMOs or estates, all these fancy strategies, and these options, etc. So we came back. We had to start from scratch. Like, that's another big thing when you do something like that. Like, especially someone like me who just left and just volunteered, or when I went travel. When I come back, I need money the whole time I'm traveling. Then I need money to put a deposit down for a house I found, and at least first or the second month rent, because you don't get a job straight away. Then you need to find a job and all that. So it's more involved to it than just that. So basically, when we came back, it took a while to get back on the horse, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then we decided that, right, let's get into property. But we realized, because we were traveling a lot, our credit score is really bad. We were like, credit score? What is credit score? Come on, you have all this adult stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like, I started learning about the real lessons of being an adult.
Yeah, life lesson.
I didn't think of. But if I would think of it too much, maybe I wouldn't do what I've done. So now I realized, like, okay, so now we have all this important stuff to think about. So building a credit score, and I was like, oh my goodness. But coincidentally, we came across do you know Samuel Leeds? Samuel Leeds, he starts he's got like a saying, like, all starts with a crash course.
Like, I think I've heard the name, Samuel Leeds.
Yeah. For me, it started with a crash course, completely random, very, very random. So we just completely randomly came across a book from Samuel Leeds, listened to the book, and then he offered the tickets for crash course, went to the crash course, and that's where we learned about HMOs. And from there, we were like, okay, so what's that? That's interesting. So then I came across people like Rob Moore and Progressive, and started visiting those places and start networking with people. and started learning about all the strategies. And that was 1.5 years ago when it all started fully for me. When I started. I think something like that. And so it's just everything started with me once I discovered that one touch, like there's HMOs and rent to HMOs, and that's how you can make money out of property without having your own money. I'm like, wow, okay, tell me more.
Yeah.
And I became a sponge, and I just became a sponge. So I was always learning different skills, different things in my life. But in regards to property, in the last 1.5 years, I just did not stop educating. Always, just if it's a book, podcasts, or contracts, reading contracts and things like that, just constantly educating myself, like 7 days a week. Pretty much.
You have completely immersed yourself within like property. I think it's like in everything that you do throughout your day has got some correlation to property. It's incredible. Do you want to talk about some of the jobs that you're doing at the minute, or that you did like pre-COVID and now?
Yeah, so in regards to properties, so because I've been doing after hospitality jobs, and I've done little other jobs when I came from traveling. But hi Laura.
Hey Laura.
Lovely Laura. So I the little jobs, different jobs, learn different skills about animals, working like a pet store and things like that after my traveling, just to get myself back on the horse, if that makes sense, because I was in the middle of nowhere, now in London with hospitality, beautiful dining restaurants, so different jobs. And then came across these properties, and I decided I'm going to go fully in. No, sorry, before that I did insurance work, so I've done travel insurance. So that's where that's for me when it the attention to details and things like that comes from, and reading contracts and all that, and knowing exactly what's in there. And then I worked with a friend called Adam Rana. So Adam is a SA operator and businessman from Birmingham. So I worked with him. I was running his essays. There were, I think he had at that point 22, 23 of them. I was running them remotely from here, obviously visiting Birmingham quite often. And that was one of the biggest. That was a very big step to get into property. But I have to say that I was really busy 7 days a week, because you got guests, the SA, service accommodation, and it's hospitality business, and you get check in and check out all the time. And with over 20 properties, it's constant. So it was full on. Yeah.
Tell us what your average day looks like when you were running 20 odd SA units.
So just from my point of view, outside of what, for me, it was minimum 9 to 9 every day, being available on the phones, but not only to pick up the phone calls, but there were messages all the time with simple things like where is a hairdryer about 3 times, or do you mean to serious things like there's always something, or where can I find the closest that it does? It's like, just use your Google. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes I thought it's like too much of it. It's like, what, use Google? No, you know what I mean, joking, but so 9 to 9 available on the phones and sorting out issues, and then 10 to 1 in normal ideal day would be like the yay.
Is this really off-putting, Lenk? So I put these on the screen because I know when I see them sometimes.
I forget my point, but that one I read very quickly.
So I wanted to put it up.
That's really sweet. Hi, Polly. I read the first one. Sorry about the person who wrote it. I wasn't really rude. So in a like ideal day, 10 to 1, I would be doing the admin. But because it was so busy on the phones, there's barely ever happened that I finished at 1. So it was 10 to whatever, doing admin, trying to fit admin around looking after the guests. So when I was thinking that I'm going to be building my own stuff along that job, it was very challenging. It was really, really challenging. And
it's funny because from my perspective, and from like SA to HMO, I think my ignorance, I've always kind of thought that on a day-to-day level, like SA wouldn't necessarily be as kind of busy as HMO, but I think that's not necessarily the case, is it?
Just prove that there's the same niff-naff and trivia that people bother you with.
The grass isn't always necessarily greener on the other side. There's specific problems in each different sector.
Rather than bins that are too full, it's hairdryers.
Yeah, it's good to know.
It's got and things like that. You know, when you have in estates, people have key boxes, for example.
Yeah.
Key lists, so someone to pick up the plates, someone to pick up the keys. So you send them the automatic messages, like, checking information. You even send them the link with the map where they can find the store or where is the key box, and you still receive a message. And I'm lost. I don't know how to get there. So or something, and I'm like, and it happens so often. But don't get me wrong, like I love essays, and I'm gonna have essays myself. I don't want to put anybody out of essays yet, but I'm just saying it is our job. It's a full-time business, and it is hospitality. So
that's so important, though, that you being able to say now that you want SA units on the back of that hard work that you put in, knowing how hard it is, how busy it is, how demanding the customers can be, but you can come out of it and say, I want SA, in the future. I mean, how useful was that for you to go through that process, and what sort of things did you learn from that?
So I learned a lot in many ways. So obviously from like running essays from the in every way, that's to start with. But basically Adam, he done an incredible job. Adam is one of those people who, when he jump on something, he goes and get it, and he's doing it well. So he basically he built this massive portfolio of essays within a year with a full-time job, and that's a huge respect for him. But if you can imagine, when you are building it from scratch, he was on his own with a business, with a full-time job and all that. There's so many things. You do one thing. Let's say you forget one thing in one property, or you didn't think about it. Then you have another one, and then later you start thinking, oh, if I would do that, that would be harmful. Or if I would do that, that would be helpful now. So when I joined him, then he was already over 20 properties. I start seeing those things like, hold on a second, if we would do that, that would be easier. If we would do that, that would be easier. And it did make sense, but he would not know this. He could not know this when he started. So that was a huge bonus for me, is that if I would start now, or if I wanted to, I was about to start before COVID, but when I start again on my own here, then I know those sort of lessons, what he learned after the 20th. And that was me being very lucky in that sense. This is what but to be fair, when I was talking about how busy he was on the phone and all that, is these are just one of those things. Like I seen, for example, Adam now already has a tablet, for example, for his properties, with explaining all those things, most of those things what people ask for, which you learn over time, what people ask for. He has them answered now on the tablets, for example.
That's
amazing and all that. So
you can only learn that with time, can't you? Time, experience, getting it wrong,
getting your hands dirty.
And for you, like that, that whole kind of, almost like apprenticeship, isn't it? Where you're getting to learn like the boots on the ground stuff, the tactical details, what to do, what not to do, and essentially, in somebody else's business, I guess, to be able to now take that forward to your business, where you're going to be like up here, as opposed to starting at the bottom. So it's hugely valuable.
Yeah, hugely valuable, hugely. And Adam knows that, like we talked many times, that we have this really good relationship, that after all this now, that when I'm ready to start my doing on essays here, he wants to invest with me. And I said openly, like that's open thing. We have a good relationship. We build that good work relationship as well. And we can see we can work together, how we can work together and all that. So yeah, there were huge benefits obviously after that. So that was for me that was my like the proper beginning in property world, if to say. So yeah, that was with Adam Rana from Birmingham.
The beginning for you was running 20 SA units. That's major. Yeah, just no big thing.
Yeah,
incredible.
Then after when the COVID started though, so that's where the twist comes. SA somewhere like in the Birmingham especially, like you don't have any more tourists from all over the world when he had, and factories are closing and everything. And I mean, for everybody, every essay, but you know what I mean, as a example. And basically, there's no tourists, there's no one to come and to visit you, to stay in your property. And you have so many units as a rent-to-rent basis, which you have to pay the rent, and you still have to pay the bills and everything. But there's no one there, so you can easily get yourself to a massive debt. So basically, with Adam, that's where we sort of like went our own ways. And Adam, you know, when with just offering the accommodation for the key workers and NHS, which is really, really good for him to stay there, you know, keep up the business, and he did really well. So what I've done is that I lost the income like this. So I went out straight away. Within the 2 days I was out, and I found a job. I went to supermarkets. That was my idea, and I'm just gonna, because that was pandemic is coming and all that, and people were saying how supermarkets needs people because people will want more food. Do you know what I mean? People are gonna stay more home. So I just went to supermarkets, and I found a job. I was very lucky. Within 160 applicants, they were employing 60 people at Morrison's and only 3 managers, and I was one of them. So I got a job as a manager for home delivery department, as a team leading in a home delivery department in a local Morrison store, which I never done anything like that. And again, straight to boom. And that was a completely new department for this store. They never had home delivery before. And from there, we went through click and collect and doorstep delivery. So suddenly, within the 2 months of running this chaos in the middle of global pandemic, she never did anything like that. And all my colleagues are not from Morrison's either. So all of them have different jobs outside of Morrison's. We all there during the pandemic. No one never worked in this place. I was managing over 76 people when I was living at that point, and 3 different departments. It was crazy. It was absolutely crazy, but I learned a lot again. And
adaptability right there, isn't it?
But I mean, you said like you literally lost your income overnight. That's and that is such a difficult thing to go through. And you know, a lot of people would have just gone home and hit the bottle or gone to bed for a few weeks, and like within 2 days you'd set up a job. And I don't think you got it by luck at all. I think they will have just seen like the experience and the attributes that you would have brought to that job, and just, you know, bit your hand off to take you on. And I don't think that would have been luck at all. I mean, and that's really inspiring, like to see that you just kind of cracked on and went on to the next thing, like, you know, brush yourself off. And I mean, that's amazing, really. So how long did you stay in that particular job?
How long did I stay there? 4 months? 3 months?
Yeah.
3 months? How long was the pandemic? How long was the lockdown?
The lockdown was about 3 months, wasn't it?
Most of the lockdown, I was there, and then basically it was very, very low pay, very, 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 very low pay, and I worked pretty much same amount of hours at home on my own stuff outside of
Hey Sophie, lovely comment.
so sweet. So as I was working 40 hours there, I was working pretty much the amount of hours at home, and still trying to do my exercises, and I like home cooking and things like that. So still trying to be me, and still trying to build my business outside of that. So it was a bit challenging.
Drinking whiskey, making cigars.
Money, girl, it was so crazy that there was a point when me and my boyfriend would basically sit down one day, and my boyfriend Ben, people know him as Ben now, yeah? Let's give him So yeah, basically we sit down one day, and we were like, as a team now, yeah, as a basically team together, and we were like, how, like, this is not worth my time anymore. Like, when I'm at home, I am getting so much more progression in regard to our future goal. When I'm there, it was really bad for my ankle. I had an ankle injury in the past, and it was just really bad for my ankle, but I went through that. I'm going through some stomach issues as well, which some people don't know, most of the people don't know, but I went through that. And basically putting myself through lots of pain and lots of hours, and still smiling, because as a manager you need to lead as an example and all that. So never showing, you know what I mean? All that. Coming home and just, you know, continue what I wanted to do at home with my business. It was, we just basically stand and we're like, it's not worth your time anymore, that money you make. And So it served the time, it served the purpose, middle of the pandemic. Yeah, we had the extra income and blah, blah, blah. But I thought it's time again to go back to Lenkas. So together with the faith that obviously I will make enough money to cover my bills, but Ben was obviously really, really nice. And he was like, Lenka, if it comes to it and you need some sort of support for the next month or two, I'm here. But it was just one of those like a really nice couple conversations. However, I knew that I will cover my bills, but you know what I mean? It was like nice support. So yeah, I was like, you know what? Yeah, it's time. So I've done that. I quit that job, and from there, I am back to being self-employed, and I'm doing a job for one developer from Hampshire, doing like a VA jobs for him, VA jobs, and helping him with his educational business as well. And then so working with estate agents as well, which is really good one. I'm working on a sales team. So this is a new one for me, but they know completely my goals.
Yeah.
They know completely what I'm working on.
You had that conversation right at the beginning, didn't you? You just laid it out.
The what?
You had that conversation with your new employer about what your goals were, and you laid it out really honest and transparent. And
and even better than that, Ben works with him. So he kind of heard about me. I met him a few times as a friend. He saw how much passion and knowledge I have about properties. And then he just came to Ben one day and he was like, what Lenka is doing for living like right now? And Ben was like, sorry, and he was like, do you think she would want to work with us? And on the sales team, and he was like, I'm pretty sure she would. But just speak to her.
Again, somebody wanted to snap your hand off. Like, there's a little thing coming on here.
Yeah, and so now I'm working with Simon, and I'm on the sales team, and this is bigger than it sounds. I'm not working in estate agency as an estate agent only. We are looking at each other very equal with Simon in the way that when I'm, for example, I got a brochure somewhere, I found amazing potential HMO for us. I go to Simon and we can work together. And we want to work together, like me, Ben, Simon together. And there's other occasions as well, like going for like a deal packaging, for example, working with agents as a being on the team together. It's a huge thing. So I'm not there as an estate agent only. We as I said, we are very, very equal, and we kind of helping each other. It's really, really cool. It's a really great relationship. So that's one of the things I do as well.
That's amazing, and you're going to learn so much being amongst that kind of group of people and the networks that you'll make in that community. What do you think is the biggest thing you've learned so far? Because you said it's quite a new venture, isn't it? What's the biggest thing you've learned in that so far, would you say?
What, in the being agent?
Yeah.
So it's very funny one, because I always was on the other side. You know, when I'm doing viewings with people, I was the viewer, whatever you call it. So it's very interesting that instead of just going to the property and trying to be like, so I'm always trying to think like, right, Lenks, you are buying you are buying this house, and you're buying this house because. So I kind of look into profiles of those people. I always look into your profiles, and I see what the people want and what they're looking for. And then I look at that property, and then I look at the garden and the views and the size of the rooms, and if they have a children or if they don't have a children. So what we could, if they have a cat, they don't have a pet, and blah 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 blah. So one of the lessons for me is so that's just sorry. So what I want to say is that I'm always looking, when I'm doing the viewings, I'm always looking at it from if I would be the one. So I'm trying to be like an agent who's selling, but it's like, would I work with you? And I can tell you my best knowledge I have and things like that. But one of the biggest lessons is with all the respect to agents before, anytime before when I was maybe a little bit more annoyed, I can see how much comes, when you see things from other side and from and sometimes when they're just new and you don't necessarily know it when you're the viewer, and if they're too shy to say it, so that comes with personality. I'm not saying everybody, but there are I have a really, really lovely colleague who's also new, and she's really shy to say that she's new, but she really is trying. And if I'm with the viewer, I might get annoyed because, you know what I mean. But she's such a good worker and all that. So this, I don't know. There's like a, I don't know. There's lots of a question like that. I need to think of answer.
No, great answer. Really great answer.
I guess you're just trying to put yourself in the shoes of the viewer and thinking, what do they want rather than what do I need to tell them?
But that's a really amazing quality and skill to have, is to be able to talk to try and mirror the person in front of you, I guess. But just having that appreciation that that attention to detail that you demonstrate in every single aspect of your life, really. And I think that's been from the very beginning, hasn't it?
It's also that problem solving for anyone who's selling anything, and property, there's a lot of selling, isn't there? You need to kind of solve a problem for somebody, and you're working out what problem has those viewers got. Maybe they've got a cat or something like that, like you said. How can I solve that problem? And that's a really good technique as a seller to kind of pick up on quite early.
So, sorry, go on, Meg.
It's all right. No, it's just like, it really does feel good, like helping people. I guess, when you said it's solving problems, it's like when, for example, I had a viewing another day, and it was fantastic property, fantastic and all that, but it was not enough parking space in the front. So when we got out, and I said to them, but if you knock this little, that little, what do you call it, hedge or whatever, I was like, you can pick 2 cars there. And they were like, could we? And I was like, well, it's going to be yours. And things like that. Some people don't think about what they could do.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we pictured bigger, There was one of the properties was they wanted to have a open lounge, but they were not sure about blah, blah, blah. And it was just one of those that I just went with my hand, when you're just knocking, it's like, well, this wall, maybe on this wall, yeah, maybe. I'm saying, I don't know, but there's possibility. Like, you use the skills and just, so how I'm looking at this job is, honestly, it's the helping people, and it's just using the knowledge I have, and just being honest, 100% honest. And sometimes people tell me, like, we walk around the properties and they go like, yeah, this is great, but and I was like, to be fair, I don't know if we have any other similar one on the market because I'm pretty new, but I can definitely have a look for you. I'll go to the office and I'll give you a call within the next hour, and I always do. And I get a really, really nice reviews as well, like nice comments, because I do follow up my promises, and my, the people have questions and I do answer them. And I learned things like about the curves, and when you are dropping the curve, how much it costs when you go through cancel and things like that. And then I learned that with one property, and then when I have a viewing in the same property, I know that automatically, so I'm using it as a thing I know naturally. Do you know what I mean?
You should come and work in Plymouth, because we'd like an agent like Lenks.
So what's next in terms of, I know that you're keen to go down the SA route, HMOs, like rent to rent. Have you got anything in the pipeline at the minute? What's like in store right now?
So yeah, we do. So we are currently, we were looking at, at commercial conversion, which is a pub conversion into 5 flats. So most likely that one we're gonna deal package. So we are looking at that to deal package as a package deal. Then we are looking at the HMOs. We've got 3 HMOs in the pipeline, which we're currently working on. With one of them, we are very, very close. All rents. No, 2 are rents. One is buy to HMO. And then essays. So I started to look again for essays, because what stopped me was obviously the pandemics, that if you don't have essays yet, let's say a month ago, I thought, why would I start now? We don't have a second lockdown, etc., etc. However, I realized more and more and more by doing lots of studying. As I mentioned, I study a lot and I read a lot. I came or just by driving around Torbe, I can see how much development is going on. So finding out how much development is going on in the area, I'm thinking I can have essays for contractor workers, just for contractors. And I was like, I don't need to necessarily think essays tourists anymore. So so that's my new thing now, is that I'm going back to sourcing essays as well, for myself as well as for investors as well. There's one particular investor from London who we had a chat 2 weeks ago again. He wanted to invest with me prior COVID, prior lockdown, and he was meant to come here as well to Torbe, go to a networking event and see the properties, etc. And then that happened, and we still are in touch, and he still wants to invest. So I was like,
did he find you via social media, or how did that relationship come about? Because I'm probably jumping ahead a little bit, but you have your own podcast.
I do.
Which is incredible, and you've had some amazing guests on there. Rob Moore from New York.
Like you, one of my amazing guests. Yeah, he did find me via social media. He basically, when he contacted me, one of his first sentences was, he loved the way how I live my life. And that was, I never forget that. And that was one of my confirmations that I can't stop being me on social media, if that makes sense. Because he basically said, I love your story. I love the way you live. I want to know more about what you do. And then he was like, I would love to invest. How can we have a chat? So, yes, I do have a podcast. It's called How Did You? It's for property beginners. And you were one of my amazing guests as well, talking about rent to earn your most.
That was amazing. I love doing that one.
Oh, I loved it so much. People love it. Comments and everything I get, it's amazing. So yeah, it's for property beginners, and I'm trying to basically cover as many different topics as possible. So as even though I'm not talking about myself as my achievements on the podcast, either maybe yet or I'm not. I am interviewing others, so talking about different strategies and all that, which also show investors that, or people who would love to invest, or you know what I mean, is that I have the knowledge, I have the passion. So, so I love that it can help others. It can, it just helps everybody because
it ticks 2 boxes, doesn't it?
Yeah, massively.
I think you've obviously come across very well on social media, and people see that, and clearly people want to invest in that. So yeah, that's brilliant. How did you come up with the name? How did you? That's the name, isn't it? How did you?
Yeah, how did you?
How did you come up with that name?
How did you? I never thought of that. How did I come up with how did you? So I had the idea of doing podcasts for, I don't know, like for maybe a year, or like when I came, not year, like for a while. And then then I met that's nothing to pretend, just very quickly. Then I met Andy Thomas, my legend, one of my besties. So yeah, and he's probably watching, I think, maybe.
You better be.
He was a big influencer who helped me build the confidence, and just kind of like reminded me every day, like every now and then when I told him that I want a podcast, he was like, really should, like just do it. It's just one of those, like Lenka, you just do it, sort of like just go for it. And one night, I never forget that, like I was sitting downstairs in the kitchen, probably with a drink, and I'm thinking, I was like, right, I'm gonna put this into reality. And so I had a piece of paper and pen, and I was like thinking, and I was like, so I'm gonna be asking people, how did they got this? How did they got that? So how shall I name it? So how did you get? And I started picturing my future episodes. So how did you get these? How did you? And I was like, so how did you? I wrote down the how did you? It's like, how did you? And how did you? I was like, 3 dots in the end. That's it. So yeah.
And you've had how many views on that now? Of your channel? You've had like an incredible amount.
So on my platforms are over 460, and on my YouTube 950, over 950.
Almost 1,000. Class.
Like I don't advertise it anywhere, like on no like big groups or something like that. Just
yeah.
So it's I'm really
organic following. That's amazing.
Yeah, really, really, really amazing.
Thank you very much for coming on the show, and who the people who are listening or watching today, if they haven't heard about the show and they're gonna go on the show. I think, Lucy, you were number 6. I think 6 or one of it says Lucy Ingram on there, I'm sure anyway.
Oh, yeah.
So definitely come and watch Lucy. Listen to Lucy's show.
Yes. Yeah, we had good fun, and I think we were drinking then as well, weren't we?
No.
I'm sure we had a little drink.
Cheers.
Should we do that one next or that one?
I can't see. Yeah.
Okay, we'll do this one. So I guess if you can think through everything you've done, because you've really been an entrepreneur since you were 17 and a half, I would say, from what you're telling me. What do you think your biggest lesson you've learned since then from being an entrepreneur? Big question.
So, the highs, the lows, the whole shebang.
Right, I say this big question. I think so. One of the things I'd say, you have to learn to say no, and that is to going out with friends a lot, watching movies a lot, like when the friends afterward is like, oh, shall we just do that, or shall we just go, we just like, and I was like, learning how to say no, it was one of the biggest things. And making sure that people around me, after a while, not think that I'm too weird for not wanting to go out all the time, for example.
It's a bit of personal sacrifice, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's learning how to say no, but at the same time, I'd say do not ever forget to say yes.
Yeah.
Like, do not just get thrown in work and the goals, because we only live once as well. And if I die tomorrow, I don't want to just you know what I mean. It's like it's just work. You have to enjoy the life. So hugely, like, learn to say
enjoy the ride. You gotta enjoy the ride.
What's that?
You gotta enjoy the ride.
Yes, exactly.
It's that whole happiness is not just the destination, it's the journey, isn't it? And that's certainly how we live our life as well. And so definitely appreciate that. But also, you're an entrepreneur from such a young age. In your 20s, it's really easy to just be sidetracked by fun, going out, doing naughty things. I mean, we didn't really start it until our 30s, where actually we're quite boring. We don't go out anymore, all that sort of stuff.
We haven't got all those.
It's very easy for us to say no because we don't do that anyway. But actually, when you're in your 20s, there's all those distractions, isn't there? So that must have been quite tough.
Yeah, it was hard because in the summer, for example, I'm a huge party animal. Like, I have it in my blood. I partied since I was 14. Fake makeup on just so that I can get to the club. So, proper. But when people were in the summer going to festivals and getting invitation to go to some festivals for free, because I have friends like the DJs and performance people, dancers and all that, and saying no occasionally. It was for free festival occasionally, for parties not more often. But I just say no. But it was hard. But I made sure that I always went. I always wanted to make sure I will spend time with some friends. But it was hard. And then I would say another lesson is that just don't give up when you feel things go slow. So people think I'm going to go like that, and this is how it's going to go. That's a very, very, very common graph people use on picture, we use on social media, that you think that a business journey is like this, but it is actually like that. And it's just many people give up after a while, or in the beginning, or after a while, that because that didn't work out, that it takes too long. And just don't give up. If you really truly believe that that's what you want to do, then just go for it. Just keep going. Just don't give up.
I think it is in today's society as well, like with the social media side of things, and like you can be so kind of disillusioned, I guess, from what you're seeing on like Facebook and Instagram, and like it can be quite easy to almost sometimes to feel like you're not succeeding in comparison to your peers or your colleagues, and sometimes you may feel like you're not kind of accelerating or you're not progressing in the right direction, but I guess, like you said, everyone's got their own journey, and actually it's not linear, or, it's very
it's
kind
definitely
of,
like that,
it's like
it?
this.
Yeah.
And it's just trusting the process, I guess, that, one step at a time, even if you take a couple steps back, you keep always moving forward, even if it's, slowly.
Persistence.
Yeah, massively.
Amazing.
Yeah, great answer.
Yeah, brilliant answer.
That's like the next one you just said. It's like about being jealous, isn't it? Like just learn not to be jealous, but be happy for others' success.
Yeah.
Don't compare to yourself others, because you truly don't know what their journey is about. And if you do know what their journey is about, you might not like it. So don't compare it to yourself. For example, that's just very huge one, isn't it? Just don't compare it to yourself to others, because you don't know what their journey is about.
Yeah, and you never really know what's going on behind the scenes either. What someone's having to go through to get to where they're going to, or
will you be prepared to go through it, isn't it? And then to be honest, like, just don't be jealous. Do your own way. Do it your own way, your own pace, the way how it feels right for you. But just don't give up. That's the one thing, isn't it? Just don't give up.
Brilliant.
What's that?
So now we're all getting distracted by the comments.
Just making the point really about instant gratification life that we live in at the moment, which is fueled by social media, and we just want results instantly, and we think that we don't have to work for it, and that's more the younger generation of today. But you're so right that you just got to keep going, because you'll get there eventually. You just need to be persistent, and the only people that fail are the quitters. That's that saying, isn't it? But it's so true.
Absolutely. And I'd said another lesson I learned is education. Just keep educating yourself. Like, I call myself forever student, and you girls, you're exactly the same. You just constantly, whatever what it is, you would just be learning, and you just never would say no for learning a new skill or new. And I think it's huge, isn't it? Like, even if you think that, oh, I don't really need this, but why not you learn about it? Because that could be linked to that, or it just shows you a different way of looking at life, or no matter what it is.
Yeah, massively.
Yeah, having that perspective.
Should we move on to the next segment?
So we sort of talked a bit. It's this one, isn't it? So I'm just going to click on the little banner. So we talked a little bit about some projects that you've got going on in the near future, but maybe if we ask, where do you see yourself in 5 years? On a beach?
Yeah.
I'm on the beach now as well. See, I'm already. You got my cocktail, got the beach.
Yeah.
I got my two beautiful ladies there. No, I don't like in 5 years. Well, financially independent in like 100%. No, sorry, financially free 100%.
Yeah.
And getting to the point of financial independence in a way. So just to have enough of projects or enough of income, sort of. I know if I say passive, let's not take it literally because that's another topic. But passive in a way, you know what I mean? Enough passive income, so I can focus on the bigger things. So when I don't necessarily need to focus on how to cover these and these and these bills and how to do that, when I can focus on the bigger things, in 5 years' time, I truly believe that I will be there doing bigger things. When I don't need to worry about the basics anymore, more than the basics, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's the goal. And I have, in regards to like having the amount of properties and all that, I can tell you the minimum number, but I'm not limiting myself. So many.
Love it. Sky's the limit.
And 100% know that in the 5 years' time, you will achieve all of your goals.
I have a dream board, which is very full. So I need to work hard. Really hard. There's so much stuff on there. Like, if I look at it now, like, honestly, like, whoa.
It's a bit overwhelming. No, that's great. You need a dream board. It's got to be there.
100%.
Do you have a dream board?
We have one. Yeah, we had one. It was up on the wall downstairs, and then we moved the office upstairs.
Because we're in Devon and don't get any signals, so we're basically on the roof right now trying to get Wi-Fi.
And so it's not currently up, but we do need to get it back up again.
Yeah,
we get that. But it's up here, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's in Trello.
What's on your dream board?
Oh, now you're interviewing us. That's not part of the plan. So we've always said we wanted a yacht. Now this is like the big kind of, this is the,
go for the stars,
like, aim for the moon and all that sort of thing. So like the absolute, like, I think way we would know that we would have made it if we could just have a yacht, maybe even lease
a small one.
Yeah.
Just have to be a big one.
Yeah.
That would suit you a lot.
Yeah, we like the water.
Converted so well. Like, you have an amazing van, girl. Like, I love it. You and your camper van. Imagine you having a camper van on the sea.
Oh no, stop it.
It needs to have like a pop-up roof, a rock and roll bed in the back, and a fridge with some nice beverages in it, as a minimum. Anyway,
our van was our first baby, our firstborn, Angelina, Ange for short, and Cersei is our secondborn. So
yeah.
But yeah, we've got very similar kind of, I guess, like, aspirations in terms of just having that freedom of choice, to make the decisions that we want to make when we want to make them. And yeah, that's kind of one of our big.
Yeah, it's all about that freedom, isn't it?
Yeah, it's freedom, isn't it? That's what we all want.
Enjoying it along the way, as you've mentioned.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we can get a yacht, then let's go for it. Let's get the yacht.
Oh, you will, 100%.
Even if it's just one we have to row, or those ones you kind of pedal around the lake.
I come and help.
It's like a swan. Yeah, pedaling.
Amazing. With a little.
Right. Okay.
Final round.
Yeah, go on.
Say that if you think that boat is a little bit out there, I have on my dream board, I have a mini jet. And I have a mini jet, which I'm going to be renting out because I know they're expensive to rent. So I'm going to be renting it out most of the time. I can use it when I want to use it. Yeah. So I think we could stay friends. Yeah.
Yeah. We could come on. You could rent your plane thing, and you could rent our yacht to you, or we could just have parties on both.
We'll go on the yacht party together, and then we go on the flight together.
I see this being a long-lasting friendship and relationship right now.
Oh yeah.
We're in sync.
Boats and hoes, you said that.
Boats and hoes. I reckon that's Andy. I don't know. I reckon it's
Hose. Oh, I think I know what it means.
It's not that endearing as a term. Right, should we move on to the final round?
Yes.
So we've got our what?
I thought we were going to go and do this one, and then I want to do one to finish.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Should we go one each?
Yeah,
on
you can.
this?
You can
I'll do it.
I'll
Oh, okay. So no pressure then. Quick fire round in our kind of true rider style. Don't worry, we're going easy. So
We're not going to
start. Rent to rent or rent to SA?
You can't be
Rent.
Good answer. Big dogs or small dogs?
Big dogs.
I thought you might say that. Education or taking action?
Taking action. Oh.
Ooh.
Oh.
You said it.
Yeah, taking action.
Yeah. Devon or Cornwall?
Ooh, both.
No, can't say both.
Devon.
Yeah, that's right. Go it alone or partnership?
Partnership.
Partnership, yeah. Run or swim?
Swim.
Cookie dough or cookie douche?
Always cookie douche.
That's Lenka's favourite ice cream flavour.
Another inside joke. Sorry, guys.
Flip or buy to hold?
But then
Flip or buy to hold?
hold eventually.
Yeah. Beach or mountains?
Both.
Oh.
Beach.
Beach. I think I know the answer to this one. Reading or audiobook?
Audiobooks.
And finally, Virgin Mary or Bloody Mary?
Bloody every time.
Every single time.
Need to answer that one as well.
So one last thing that we just wanted to ask you. So we know, having been around your place a couple of weeks ago and spending some lovely time with you, that you are a fountain of knowledge when it comes to facts. So we wondered if you could just share a fact with the viewers this evening, an interesting fact by Lenka. Go.
Oh,
No pressure.
that is really hard because this is one of those questions, just like when someone asks you name a song, and you know so many songs, but you can't.
Counts a joke.
A fact. I know so many.
You must have told us about 10 when we were around the other week.
At least.
Yeah, in like 5 minutes. Like, I want a podcast on interesting facts, but I can't think of one. I can think of one. The latest one I learned is that, did you know, because we do lots of networking, and that was another one for networking, yeah, do lots of networking with business. Did you know that trees, they network as well? They have their sort of network, and trees communicate with each other. I love plants, yeah, and it fascinates me. And trees, they communicate with each other, and they send each other some sort of signals and all that when it comes to being attacked by insects, or if they're getting some sort of disease, and they can talk to each other. I don't know how much can they do about it, but they
Run away.
and it's actually called something. Hold on, I'll find it. It's called. I'll have it in 5 seconds. So psychiatrists.
Right.
Drink what you think.
Yeah, hold on. They call it, scientists call this mycorrhizal networks.
Got it. Spell it.
Mycorrhizal networks.
Amazing. There you go. You heard it here first.
Amazing fact.
Did you not like the plants? They communicate with each other, and it's they actually send each other signals for different things. Like
Incredible.
That's really fascinating. And if you like, I'm like amazed with them. Like the fact that we wouldn't be existing if we wouldn't have an air which comes from plants and bees and all that. Like,
Well, I think we're quite arrogant as humans and think that we invented everything, we're networking included, and clearly plants and animals have been doing it for, hundreds of years, haven't they? Thousands and thousands of years. So yeah, that's interesting. Thank you for that little fact.
Thank you very much.
everything we know is from nature somewhere, no? Isn't it?
Well said. Well said. So, Lenka, right. Importantly, where can people find you? So you're pretty much everywhere. So I've put your website up there, which people can see underneath. But where can people find you on the social media, your podcast, YouTube? Go.
So wow, okay. So I have, as you said, I'm pretty much everywhere, but I'm trying to be consistent on those places. So on Facebook, either private Facebook, which is Lenka Jenčová with a J, Bednariková. They found it somewhere written. Or
Click on the group, you'll find her.
on my new Facebook page, which is Lenks Property. And then, so if you want to follow my work or my lifestyle, it's either Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn, which is Lenks Property. If you want to know more about what I do, it's on YouTube or on Spotify or on iTunes. You find my podcast, which is How Did You? Or more about my work, you also found on my website, which is lenkspropertyinvesting.co.uk, or email address, which is lenka@lenkspropertyinvesting.co.uk.
Oh yeah, lots of different platforms to find you.
Hold on. This is a present from Andy, by the way. One of the presents before. This is, my logo. But hold on. Can you read it?
Oh yes, there you go. Merch.
Yeah, you can find me there.
And you can see that Lenks loves the bling. She has gold writing on her t-shirt. And look at the microphone. For those people that haven't quite spotted that yet, you see that is a golden microphone. How amazing is that?
That's dope.
I'm quite jealous. Our microphone is just.
Oh, you can't even.
Black.
Golden like logos and all that.
Black is your kind of colour, isn't it? That's your signature. Yeah.
Yeah, black color and the Dolce Gabbana light blue perfume is honestly that's
Oh,
how you see
really?
things. Is when I come black and Dolce Gabbana light blue. That's me.
Very lovely.
Very
Not like us.
So yeah, that's where you can find me. Depends on what you want from me.
Lots of options.
Just follow my lifestyle, or do you want to do more business? Different things.
And there you go. Someone's put I think that's your YouTube channel link up there, which I'm guessing again is Mr. Andy T that's put that up. Or maybe Ben, actually Ben's online as well. Sorry, you've not clicked it.
It could be Ben, but I think it's Andy because it says Peeps and there's a card.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. T. Mr. T's in the house. So I think that kind of draws us to a close. Lenka, you have been an absolute diamond. We knew you were going to be. You're such a beautiful person inside and out. And I know I say it all the time, but it doesn't get old because it's true. Thank you for sharing your journey with us, with the viewers, with people in the group.
Popping that cherry.
Yeah, we got to pop your interview cherry because I know when you're going to be a star. You are already, but you are going to be, and we got first dibs on the interview, which we're very happy about.
Girls, I'm
so thank you so much.
I can't thank you enough how I'm grateful I am that you had me on a show and how honored I feel that you asked me, and you know how much I admire you, you know how much you inspire me, you know how much I love you, and
Stop it. Keep going.
Yeah, that's how I felt when I was thinking. I was like, yeah, oh, but come on. No, it's honestly, girls, thank you so much. And it's always a pleasure spending time with you. And as you said, when we were talking about the point, what you do as an entrepreneur, one of the main things is networking, and networking brought us together as well. We knew about each other, or I knew about you before we even met, and then we met in a Blue Oak one in February. And we just stayed friends ever since. And we met another night just for drinks and all that. And it's just girls, seriously, thanks for having me. And thank you for being such a good friends. Because you really are. And awesome people. Very awesome people.
Snap. Right, guys.
Next time when we meet.
Yes,
definitely. Looking forward to it.
She's missing you already.
Yeah, Cersei wants more kind of Lenks and Ben time.
And Marvel time.
Right.
Thank you so much for having me. It was great, honestly. And the fact that the first interview was like, ooh, thanks for having me, honestly.
Right, thank you to everyone that's tuned in this evening and watched the beautiful Lenka and be interviewed by us. Go on.
Just want to say sorry because I can't see, just for those listeners, because I can't see know who is on. I can't see any name. I can't even see who's watching at all. So whoever is there or whoever will watch it even later, thank you so much for tuning in, guys. I
No,
can't be like thank you so much, everybody, for coming in tonight, and thank you for having me.
And this will be going. This is actually streaming live into YouTube now. This is the great thing about StreamYard. You can stream into lots of different places at once, and we will repurpose this for YouTube next week. So anyone that didn't get to watch it or isn't in the group will get to watch it as well. So
it was my first interview today, but I'm also going live, which I don't do. So
yeah,
double whammy. You're amazing. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We'll let you go and enjoy the rest of your Wednesday evening. Wednesday evening. Take care, everybody. And remember, whatever you do, enjoy the ride. See you later.
Bye.